हेलो माय लवली पीपल, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग बैक। एंड आज का जो टॉपिक है वो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है बिकॉज दिस इज विद रिगार्ड्स टू वन ऑफ द मोटरसाइकिल्स व्हिच लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर asking questions about. See, what happens is that people get confused because of multiple reasons, and the reasons, unfortunately, for them are unknown. Let me quickly throw some light on that. The very first question which people are unable to answer is, what are they buying the motorcycle for? What is the purpose of the motorcycle? Without answering this question, they get into a search of a good bike. Every bike is a good bike if it solves your purpose. Question is, what is the reason that you want to buy your motorcycle? For example, I did not buy KTM. I bought a Himalayan because I want to go for touring. For touring, that is the bike. For off-roading, KTM is the bike. I do not want speed, but I need some bit of rhythm in life, which Himalayan brings. So today we are talking about one wonderful engine, wonderful company, which is very close to my heart when it comes to the cars. I kept my car for a number of years of this brand, and I was extremely happy with that. And given a choice, I would love to, um, you know, purchase this brand's car once again. So we are talking about Honda, guys. Yes, we are talking about Honda NX500, a review about that motorcycle. Again, I have drilled it down. I have brought in a lot of content from a lot of places and put that together and bringing you crux for this entire video that you'll get to see. It's approximately 15-16 minutes of podcast that I brought for you. So let's get into the podcast, hear what they have to say. If we have questions, we'll post some questions around them. So let's get started, guys.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Are you ready to dive in? We're taking a close look at the 2024 Honda NX500 today. And wow, did you guys send in a ton of stuff? YouTube reviews from all over the globe, articles, forum posts, you name it.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of buzz around this bike.
There is, so we're going to try to break it all down, see what this NX500 is all about and whether it lives up to the hype, especially for riders like you who, are serious about getting the most out of their ride.
Well, it's worth noting right off the bat that this NX500 isn't totally new. It's actually built on the legacy of the Honda CB500X platform. But Honda's kind of, taken that platform through a few generations, starting with a more road-focused design way back in 2013.
Right, the CB500X, it's got that reputation for being like super reliable, a real do-it-all kind of bike. So what changed with these later versions?
So the second generation, around 2019, they started hinting at maybe taking this bike off-road a bit more. They gave it a bigger 19-inch front wheel and a bit more suspension travel. And then just a couple of years ago, they really leaned into it. B-Fire suspension, better brakes, all upgrades that carry over to this NX500. So it's not starting from scratch.
Gotcha. So it has a good foundation. But visually, this NX500, I mean, it's a whole different animal. Those YouTube reviews, especially ones from India, everyone's loving that rally-inspired look.
Oh, absolutely. That redesigned headlight, the sleek side panels, it's way more aggressive than the CB500X. And yeah, one reviewer even said the black version looks menacing. Menacing in a good way, of course.
All right, enough about looks, though, right? Let's get to the heart of the matter, the engine. Same 471cc parallel twin from the CB500X. What were reviewers saying about the actual performance out on the road?
Yep, same engine. And it gets a lot of praise for being smooth, refined, no harsh vibrations, even at higher speeds. A few reviewers even said, oh wait, someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
It's a twin cylinder or twin cylinder bike. Do you think it's better than KTM and Royal Enfield Himalayan? Just if in case you have that information.
Okay, great question. Yeah, the NX500 has a twin-cylinder engine.
And whether it's better than the KTM or Himalayan?
That really depends on what you're looking for.
Right. As we'll discuss later, reviewers point out the Himalayan is more rugged.
Well, KTM is sportier, but this NX is a great middle ground.
Okay, so the engine's smooth. What about fuel efficiency?
Yeah, I saw one review from India.
The guy was getting like 70 miles per gallon. Is that even possible?
It is. It's legit.
A lot of reviewers were blown away by the fuel economy.
Especially for a 500cc twin.
I mean, they were cruising at highway speeds, no problem.
And it wasn't guzzling gas.
So, yeah, serious range between Phillips. Perfect for touring.
Okay, that's impressive. All right, let's talk about the handling.
I'm seeing a lot of chatter about the suspension upgrades.
So how did those actually translate to the riding experience
Well, reviewers definitely notice a big difference.
compared to the CB500X, especially when cornering?
The NX feels much more planted, more composed.
Thanks to those updated internals and the forks and the lighter wheels.
But there is a trade-off.
Oh, what's the catch?
That rear suspension, it's still pretty soft.
So great for soaking up bumps.
But it can feel a bit wallowy at higher speeds.
That's how one reviewer put it in the twisties.
So not a... Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So Himalayan is considered to have Showa's suspension. So don't you think that those are considered to be the best in the world at this point in time when it comes to any motorcycle? I think that is one suspension which has made a lot of difference in the riding style of a lot of people. One of the reasons why people are mostly, buying Himalayan.
That's a really interesting point about the Himalayan suspension.
It definitely has a reputation for being quite robust, especially for its price point.
And you're right, for a lot of riders, that comfortable suspension is a huge selling point.
It soaks up those bumps and rough roads really well.
However, when we look at some of the reviews for the NX500,
They actually mentioned that the suspension, particularly the rear.
it's a little on the softer side.
So while it's good for comfort, some riders found it a bit wallowy when pushed harder in corners.
It really highlights that there are different approaches to suspension design.
And what works best often comes down to personal preference and the kind of riding you do.
The Himalayan prioritizes that plushness for varied terrain.
While the NX seems to be aiming for a balance, maybe leaning a bit more towards on-road manners.
Okay, so rather than carving through it.
I like that, gliding. Okay, so that's the right. What about tech?
Any cool new features packed onto this NX500?
One of the biggest upgrades is that new 5-inch color TFT display.
Huge step up from that old LCD screen on the CB500X.
Bright, clear, all the info you need right there.
And you also get Honda Selectable Torque Control, or HSTC.
Okay, hold on. Break that down. What exactly is HSTC?
Basically, it's like a basic form of traction control.
It's not super sophisticated.
Like you'd find on a really high-end adventure bike.
Still, it's a nice safety feature, especially for newer riders.
Or if you're riding in slippery conditions.
It helps prevent the rear wheel from spinning out.
By managing the engine's power delivery.
It adds a bit of security without being too intrusive.
I see. Little extra... Yeah, that's a good point.
And of course, we have to address the elephant in the room.
The horn, that classic Honda horn placement.
Oh yeah, can't forget that, the horn above the turn signal.
A recipe for accidental honking.
Seems like Honda hasn't learned their lesson yet.
Oh, go for it.
I was just about to ask, you spoke about the traction control, but that's there in KTM, that's there in Himalayan as well. How does it make it different for Honda?
That's a fair question. You're right. Traction control isn't unique to Honda.
What's fascinating here is that the implementation and sophistication can vary quite a bit.
Okay, let's unpack this. Reviewers noted that the HSTC on the NX500 is a pretty basic on-off system.
Exactly. One review mentioned it wasn't the sophisticated multi-level selectable system you find on some flagship bikes.
So while it's there to provide a safety net,
It's more about preventing wheel spin in straightforward situations.
versus having different modes for varying terrain or riding styles like you might see on the KTM or perhaps even the Himalayan, depending on the model year.
This raises an important question. Is Honda prioritizing simplicity and cost effectiveness here?
It seems like it. It's a nice feature to have, but it's not a major selling point that sets it apart in terms of technology.
Okay, so it's a good basic safety net. What were some other things reviewers pointed out?
A few. Some weren't thrilled with that non-adjustable windshield.
Kind of a weird choice for a touring-focused motorcycle.
Being able to adjust that windshield on the fly makes a difference,
It can make a big difference in terms of wind protection.
especially on those long rides.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And of course, we have to address the elephant in the room.
The horn. That classic Honda horn placement.
Oh yeah, can't forget that. The horn above the turn signal.
A recipe for accidental honking.
Seems like Honda hasn't learned their lesson yet.
It's a small thing, but quite a few reviewers mentioned it.
Definitely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of time here.
Let's tackle something that could be a deal breaker for some.
The price, from what I've seen, it's priced a bit higher.
Than competitors like Royal Enfield Himalayan.
That's a bold move. Those are popular bikes.
Especially for riders on a budget.
It is, and reviewers were definitely wrestling with this.
They see the quality, the refinement.
Does it really justify that price tag?
When those other bikes offer a more affordable entry point.
So is the N...
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, even when I was planning to buy a motorcycle, I also realized the fact that, the price of around 7.5 lakhs Indian rupees was whoppingly high, and it was completely, it takes you out of the budget. Whereas when you come to bikes like, when you talk about bikes like Himalayan, including accessories, everything that you can think of, including the CarPlay, etc. It costs you around 3,90,000 at the max, because you are going to purchase it for like 3,40,000 ex showroom in Delhi NCR, and then eventually you'll spend around 40,000 rupees on the accessories. Overall, I think it's going to be a fully loaded bike for around 3,90,000. Whereas you're buying a raw bike for like only 7,30,000 or 7,50,000. That's a remarkable difference, and the engine capacity is not that different. Yes, definitely twin cylinder makes it remarkably
I totally get
softer.
it. You're speaking
Yeah.
from experience,
That price jump can be a tough pill to swallow.
especially when you get a Himalayan.
Fully kitted out for significantly less.
It brings the value proposition into question.
Let's dig a little deeper into those reviewer takes.
See if we can find that value. Where is it?
Yeah, that's the key, right?
It's not just about that sticker price.
What are you actually getting for your money?
You mentioned accessories. What about features?
One thing that the NX500 consistently gets praise for,
Is that 471cc engine? Reviewers were almost unanimous.
they loved how smooth and refined it is.
This is different from the Himalayan in particular.
It was built for off-roading first.
How does that smoothness translate to riding, though?
Does it ever feel boring because it's so smooth?
A few reviewers did mention wanting more excitement.
Especially when you get those revs up higher.
That's something for riders used to more powerful bike.
For your everyday riding, that linear power is an asset,
It makes the bike predictable, easy to manage.
even when you've got it loaded up with gear.
So it's all about that effortless cruising experience.
No sudden surprises, just smooth, consistent power.
Exactly. And go for it.
What is the brake horsepower in Honda NX500?
That's an interesting question.
Are you asking about the strength or pressure within the brake lines?
I haven't come across any specific figures for brake horsepower in the reviews.
It's not a standard specification that's usually highlighted.
However, reviewers did comment on the braking performance overall,
They generally noted an improvement with the NX500.
especially with the addition of the twin front discs.
One review mentioned strong stopping power
But some felt the brake field and feedback was a little soft.
until you applied a good amount of pressure.
So while the power seems to be there,
The initial feel might not be as sharp as some riders prefer.
okay, that all makes sense.
What about when you want to get off the pavement?
How does the NX500 handle the rougher stuff?
All right, let's talk off-roading.
I'm imagining a fire road gravel path.
Oh,
realistic.
For sure. Reviewers took it off-road.
And they were surprised by how capable it was.
They said it felt stable, even when the surface got loose.
But there is a caveat.
I knew there had to be a catch. What is it?
It's capable but not indestructible, right?
Those lighter wheels, they're great for handling.
But they can be prone to damage on rocky trails.
That soft rear suspension can bottom out if you hit something hard.
So it's about knowing the limits of the bike.
And choosing the right kind of terrain, right?
If you're planning on doing hardcore off-roading,
You might want to look at a different bike.
for fire roads, gravel paths, maintained trails.
The NX500 can handle that.
Okay, so that gives us a better picture.
Let's go back to the tech, the TFT and the HSTC.
There were mixed opinions on those features.
Some loved how simple the NX500 is.
Others felt like it was missing some things.
Like that windshield, it's not adjustable.
A kind of weird omission for a touring bike.
Adjusting makes such a difference on long rides.
Honda didn't include it for some reason.
Some riders prefer simpler bikes. Less to break.
True, less to worry about.
Speaking of which, let's go to that price discussion.
NX500 is more expensive.
Than some of its rivals. What about feature by feature?
When you look at the features, others stand out.
The Himalayan is cheaper, built for off-roading.
The KTM 390 Adventure has a more powerful engine.
That price isn't reflected in the features.
That's one way to look at it.
Remember, there's more to a bike than specs.
The NX500's intangible qualities come in.
Things like build quality, how refined it feels.
And that Honda reputation for reliability.
You can't always quantify that stuff.
But it can make a huge difference as an owner.
You're buying into a whole legacy.
Okay, I'm starting to get the bigger picture.
It might not be the flashiest or the most high-tech.
But it's got that Honda quality.
For many riders, that's a big deal.
Especially if you're looking at owning it a long time.
You want peace of mind.
You want something you can count on.
It's like investing in a well-made tool
That's going to last you forever?
instead of a cheap knockoff that's going to fall apart.
I like that analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's really what the NX500 is all about.
It might cost more up front, but it's built to last.
It's reliable for people who appreciate quality.
For riders looking for a bike that's going to be with them.
Okay, with its do-it-all potential.
Is it the right bike for you?
We've covered a lot with the NX500.
Specs, features, even the Honda price tag.
Is this the one bike? Can you commute on it?
The one bike, the dream.
You take it on an adventure, tour on it.
That is the dream for a lot of riders, right?
One bike can do it all without needing a whole garage.
Yeah, exactly. The unicorn.
Let's put the NX500 to the test. Does it all come together?
Seems like it has the potential, yeah.
Someone who wants to do a bit of everything.
Isn't super hardcore about any one thing.
So not for the track day enthusiast.
Or someone who's going to be racing motocross.
Someone who commutes during the week.
Maybe hit some gravel roads on the weekend.
The NX could be a really good fit.
Finding the right tool for the job, right?
It seems like a good all-around tool.
Maybe not the sharpest knife, but it gets it done.
Even though it's not a pure off-road bike.
It can still handle more than just a dirt road.
Take it on some pretty challenging terrain.
I'm just imagining the reviewers from India.
Riding through the Himalayas. A real test.
It's tougher than it looks.
For touring, that engine eats up those miles.
Plus, it's a Honda. You know, it's reliable.
That's got to be a good feeling.
Oh, yeah. Peace of mind is huge when touring.
You want to trust that it's going to start every morning.
Okay, so the NX500 checks a lot of the boxes.
Are there any deal breakers? Anything we haven't mentioned?
Well, we already talked about the price.
And Winfield.
Other than that, it depends on the rider.
What are you looking for? How do you ride?
If you want a pure sport bike, this isn't it.
But versatile and comfortable? Consider this.
If you value that Honda quality, take a closer look.
I agree. It can handle a lot of situations.
It's fun, and it looks good doing it.
A dependable all-arounder, great for you.
If you're tired of having multiple bikes,
The NX500 could be your answer.
maybe you'll discover some new places.
Adventures that you never would have thought of before.
That's what it's all about.
Getting out there, exploring, enjoying the ride.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
We hope this deep dive into the NX500 was helpful.
We hope you get that, Nick.
So guys, thank you so much for listening so far. As you've heard the reviews, obviously Honda comes with a price tag, which is a huge price tag. And, I don't know if in case we want to kind of look at that price tag as, I don't know. I mean, if we want to kind of consider that to be Honda being Honda, playing that much for the brand, while you're not getting much. It's not an off-roader, guys. I have already ridden that bike. It's a city bike. It's a 19-inch wheel, and you know what? You need 21 inches. One of the reasons I did not go for Kawasaki Versus was because of the wheelbase, and it's not sufficient or good enough to kind of take the bashing from the Himalayas and the off-roads of Himalayas. So all those things matter a lot. Anyway, having said that, I have shared with you the review. I hope that's going to give you some insight. If you have more questions or you want me to cover any other bike, do let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that. In the interim, I'm making some changes in my Himalayan, and I'm going to be sharing that with you very soon on the next video. So thank you so much for watching. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, share, like, and comment, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get to know when I come up with a new video. God bless.